is the head coach of Michigan State basketball, one of our favorite guests right here on the show. He is none other than Tom Izzo, going to the Final Four as the Big Ten champs beat Duke to take on Texas Tech on Saturday, right here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Coach?
I'm good, Rich. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. Congratulations on getting to the Final Four. Right? How are you? How's that voice holding up of yours right now?
Voice is good, just whenever I lack a little sleep, my voice goes. And, I'm bringing in our boy Mooch. He's coming in for the weekend, so that'll be fun to have him there. And but it was a heck of a run for us, Rich. And as you know, it's kind of been a different team than I've had lately. But, boy, when you got a good quarterback, a lot of things can happen. And I've got one of the better quarterbacks and kind of got a team that's kind of stayed connected, and all of a sudden, I couldn't say I predicted this. It's been a little shocking, but we really played good the last 10, 12 games, 14 games of the season, and kind of got better each game.
Why are you shocked? Walk me through that feeling.
Well, it's not as an imposing of a lineup as you maybe would have seen even in the last 6-8 years, and we've had some teams that had, we never have a Duke or Kentucky team, but we've had some teams that have some great talent on it. And this team has very good talent, but it's the whole is better than the parts. And there's been some teams the parts is better than the whole. So I guess at the end of the day, I think you like the whole to be better than the parts, and that's what we have.
Well, what was the difference maker, do you think, in beating Duke?
I think experience. I really do. I think, they had the kid Reddish who was out the game before, and then he came back. And I've learned with injuries, man, whenever you go out, it's harder to come back. And I just thought the experience maybe that we had with a couple of players and their youth, and they're very talented, and they got a great team. And Mike is a hell of a coach, and he's got, you can argue it, but been the best program maybe ever. I mean, UCLA was UCLA, but this day and age with so many good teams, I think the consistency they played with has been special. And Zion is, I really had a great appreciation for him. Glad he was in college, even if it was only a year. But he plays with a lot of energy and heart and toughness. And so I think for us it was just the experience. We didn't shoot it great. We didn't rebound it off the charts. What we did is we didn't turn the ball over, and they did turn the ball over. And you're a big football guy. Whenever there's a Super Bowl, who usually wins it?
Turnovers.
Whatever team turns it over the least. It's not much different in our sport.
Yeah, I know. I mean, in terms of experience, there was a quick shot of Xavier giving Cassius Winston a little sort of nod, right? I mean, Xavier Tillman's giving him sort of like an eyebrow raise and moved his face in the direction of Winston to run up the floor to run out the clock with 5 seconds to go.
Yeah.
I mean, is that coached? Do you coach him those facial expressions?
Well, you ruined it. See, I had that all set that was a sideline play. The truth of it is, it wasn't. We had a play to get open, but that one didn't work, and I didn't see it till later.
Right.
And he didn't even say anything, but the way Xavier did it, and then I got mad at Cassius in the locker room because I said, "Where you been hiding?" Because that burst of speed when he went even by Zion, I said, "Where you been hiding for the last 3 years? I never seen you run like that." But then again, if I had Zion, chasing me, I'd probably run like that at my age. So I guess it all worked out, and it was a connection, and that's a great example of the connection that these players have for each other. That was Xavier and Cassius' connection.
Yeah, I know. And so Zion, as eyeballing him, he's as advertised. Huh, Coach? You saw him in person.
He is. He's really good. Really good.
Yeah, I know. And obviously, though, your team is the one moving on. Coach Tom Izzo here on the Rich Eisen Show. You mentioned about, having fun with Cassius Winston in the locker room and, you got on him. I mean, the fact that you were right in the middle of a crosshairs in the middle of this tournament of a conversation about coaching a player too hard. I mean, now that you're 2 weeks removed from all that, what was that like for you to be in the middle of that conversation, Coach?
Rich, it was interesting. It was a 5-second deal on a kid that I've known and recruited for 2 years, and I was amazed how much it got. But then again, I'm ever evolving too, as you are in your job, and I just got to realize it's a different time, different date. So I'll say this. I will never not hold a guy accountable, and never does anything happen that happened once or twice or 3 times. In other words, if a guy misses a class, we don't kill him. We don't run him in the morning. We don't do all that. Now, if he misses 6 or 7 of them, it changes as it would with your own kids. And so there were some things that happened earlier and that nobody's aware of. And but I guess different day and age. So I'll just find a different way to get about. But holding kids accountable or holding people accountable, I still think is what our country lacks, and not going to be lacked here. I just got to find a way to do it that is maybe doesn't hurt somebody's feelings. It didn't hurt his feelings. It didn't hurt his family's feelings, but I guess it hurt other people's feelings.
Well, I mean, it is that a video that you've watched back?
Did it hurt your feelings?
No,
Rich?
no,
If your
no, Coach.
son
No.
did something wrong in school, what would you do?
Hey, Tom, I was in Italy while this all happened on vacation with my kids and my wife, and I came back and I sat down and I said into a microphone. I got people calling in after I said that you were just coaching a kid that you knew, and somebody called in and said to me, "What if he did that to your son?" And I'm like, if he needed to be held accountable in that manner with a guy that I know he had his best interest in mind, that he was going to call him for the rest of his life and have him on his team for the rest of his life, I'm cool with it. And I'm not just saying that because you're calling in.
I think that is, and yet I've got to make adjustments too, Rich. I mean, it is a different time, but the key phrase you just said, what is the relationship like? Does the player know the coach? Does the coach know the player? And like I said, if I had Aaron call you today, it would have been 0. If I had his dad call you today, his dad gave me the line as, I didn't send him there to be pampered. I sent him there to be pushed. I know what it's like to where he wants to get, and I know how hard it is. And so, little overreaction, as Judd Heathcote used to say, the game makes fools of us all. So if I had a moment when I could have just said it a little differently, or maybe without pointing, but I think one of the things I've always been is pretty transparent. So if somebody's doing that in a practice and not in the game, does that make it better? Just happens that mine was out in the game. And so I will apologize to anybody I offended, and I will adjust and learn. But the accountability part will never change as long as I'm here.
Well, I'll tell you, I know you're probably not on Twitter, but Mark Cuban talked about it on Twitter, saying that the thing that he found most interesting about it was the way the other players were reacting to the situation and how they kind of put hands on you and you didn't react to it at all, like it was just like a normal family argument is what it looked like, I don't know if you watched it back in that manner.
Draymond. Draymond is Draymond, and but it really is so different than people have made it. They act like every day there's something going on, and me and my buddy Mariucci well, and he's with us a lot during this time. And I tell you what, Rich, if anybody's got better relationships with their players, or if anybody keeps better relationships once they're gone, I challenge anybody. I think that's one of the strengths we have. It's not that anything else. And trust me, it was blown out of proportion, but I learned from it too. And I guess that's the key. I'll learn from it and find different ways to do things. But the bottom line to things is people still need to be held accountable. And a 30-second timeout, you don't have as much time to negotiate. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, listen, this is what you got to do. This is what you got to do.
Tom Izzo here. A few more minutes left with the Michigan State head coach. Did I hear you in your press conference say that you needed a second championship to validate your run there at Michigan State?
Funny.
Did you say that?
I've been asked that a couple times. The question in the press conference was, I'm glad you're going to help me straighten it out.
Okay.
That somebody said there are people out there saying you need to win another one. What do you say to those people? And I said, I agree with them. because I want to win one every year, and that is the goal. I mean, realistic or unrealistic. I mean, and I shouldn't say that every year because some years it's not realistic, and if I tried that, it'd be phony. So, but that is the goal, and that is the goal this year, and I don't think I should be judged on that. But then again, I got my big boy pants on. I think people can evaluate. If I win another one, I'm still 3 behind Mike, and I'm 7 behind, 8 behind John Wooden. So
right.
There's always going to be another of another of another, and that's what keeps me rolling. I'm good with that. So I think you need to be validated on how your team gets better and how your team is. The championships sometimes are lucky. I mean, hey, let me tell you, Duke is a very, very good team, championship caliber team. In a one-and-done moment, we got the best of them for that day. I'd hate to see if it was a best out of 7 series. I'm not sure I'd bet on myself the same way.
So as you head off to Minneapolis, Coach, you'll hear a lot of storylines about you potentially beating Texas Tech and make it to the final game. Can I give you one that you probably haven't heard yet and you won't hear while you get to Minneapolis?
I love it.
Okay, here you go. Avenging Michigan's loss to Texas Tech on behalf of all the Wolverines. Go ahead and do it, Tom.
You want me to do that for you? You
well,
want me to beat Texas Tech because Michigan lost to them?
Yeah, I know deep down you'd like to do that on behalf of the Wolverines. I know that, Tom. A little part of it.
I would, because I do have, I have great respect for John and their team. And, everybody talks about us getting them 3 times this year. Well, last time they got us twice last year. And, I think everybody would agree we were the better team, at least record-wise. Now, they went on to a Final Four, but I'm just saying, I've been on both sides of the coin. And so I never get too excited about it. And I definitely never talk about it. But anytime you beat your rival, anytime, it's a good day. But it's only one day.
Well, you had 3. Unfortunately, you had 3 of them.
Your wife and your kids by beating Texas Tech for that. I'm going to do that, Rich. I appreciate the motivation, and I'm going to try to help you out.
Fantastic. Well, enjoy the time. Somebody asked me the other day, I forget who, is Mooch going to be there for Izzo? And I'm like, are you kidding me? He's going to be sitting on Magic Johnson's lap like a ventriloquist dummy. Are you kidding me? He's going to be sitting right there on Magic's lap. Of course he's going to be there.
I'm going to tell him you said that.
Please.
He was actually supposed to do a game.
I know.
Do AAF, but
I know.
It disappeared.
I know.
So he's free to come.
He's freed up. He wouldn't miss that, I know, for the world. Coach, congrats on the Final Four.
Great.
Congrats on the Final Four. And, again,
thanks, Rich.
Do it for Michigan, Tom. Do it for Michigan.
That's what I love about you, Rich. I'm going to try to do that, but I do appreciate you staying up with me. For a Wolverine, you've been awfully kind to me.
Come on. You're the best.
I'm going to try to do it for the conference and for the state and for the University of Michigan.
Yes.
Because of Texas Tech.
There you go. That's it. It's on tape. It's recorded forevermore. Tom, thanks again. We'll chat soon.
Thanks, Rich.
You got it. That's Tom Izzo, Michigan State head coach.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.